I love Eddsworld. I love the art, I love the characters, I love the writing. I love it all. And what better way to showcase it than making a video explaining a timeline to a show with little to no timeline? We start all the way back with the Chronicles of Santa, which talks about the first Christmas, which takes place during the Paleolithic era, which is about 10,000 BCE. Here we first are introduced to the four protagonists of this video: Edg, Mutt, Toom, and Tord. Matt, Tom, and Tord don't have any names from what I recall, so I made some up. Tord dies and literally no one cares, and Santa comes in and says Ed and Toom are bad, so he gives them both coal, but he says Matt is good, and throws a rock at his face and like it fixes him or something. But then, because the diamond was also inside of the rock, they all burn up because it was like rainbow shines or something. They probably die, or maybe they survived. Also, Ringo was in this video, it was outside. Next up, we're moving on to Saloonics, which takes place sometimes within the 1800s, as it is said at the beginning of the story by Ed. Well, it just says 18 for it's cut by a horse. At Spitbucket, USA. We follow Detective Edward Gould as he comes from England to find a member of the British royal family. Here he goes to the saloon and meets a Tord ancestor and also Sheriff Thompson, who is supposed to help him with the search. It turns out that the member was taken by bandits, which are the neighbor's ancestors. This is also when Edward first tries out a coal law and gets his little something, blah blah blah, town is clean, and Thompson helps him out, and they get Matt's ancestor back. I don't think we learn what Matt's ancestor name is, but judging what the other two's name is, Edward and Thompson, I'm going to assume that it's Matthew. And as for the neighbors, we only learn about Juan, which is John's ancestor. After Matthew is saved, Edward goes back to England, and Thompson does so too, and Matthew, of course. Moving on to the main cast, we learn first about Tom's life as we are shown as parents, his mom being a bowling ball with his dad being a watermelon. We also see he has been drinking since a kid. Stopping with Tom here at the quarter moment to talk about Ed and Eduardo, as around this time is when Eduardo drew his lovely painting, only for Ed to come in with a more mediocre drawing and having gotten first place, starting their entire rivalry since kids. Also, I'm going to assume they are all around the age of 4 here. After this, it is to be assumed that Mrs. Bowling Ball had a divorce with Mr. Watermelon, as within Fun Dead we see Tom enjoying time with a pineapple who he calls father, and in this same moment, his father is also shot by a bear after Matt gave him a gun. Swapping to Matt for a bit, after his mom says she could never stay mad at him, they go out for ice cream, meaning that this is also the moment he learned he doesn't like ice cream. Years later, we see the 4 boys truly start to become friends. I am unable to really guess what their ages are here, however, a few images down, we see Ed with longer hair and Tom with braces, which is typically given around age 10 to 12. After this, we are shown that Tom did go to prom. However, this is in England, and according to Google, as I don't live in England, don't know much about it, this is for year 11, which is ages 15 to 16. However, I do not know how reliable that is, so someone please correct me on that. And at the end, we are shown that Tom had a job working at a restaurant. I did not know whether to place this before or after the first episode, but I'm going to put it before. Now we move on to more familiar territory, starting with Eddsworld Christmas Special 2004. And look, we already have the year right there, and we follow the characters we now recognize as Ed, Tom, and Tord, as they try to save Christmas after Tom forgot to remove the firewood. And I would like to say that from here, the Dude Next Door, and onwards, up until, I'd say, Santa Claus 1, and an exception a few other episodes, these, I would say, are all movies within the Eddsworld universe that they all made. This is because of the behind the scenes, where we are shown that they all have a role within the group, and Tom says he was kicked out of the Dude Next Door. And also, due to the many deaths that occur within these episodes, it kind of needs to be, if we want to add logical sense to these things. Anyways, after, of course, is the behind the scenes, and then Halloween Special 2005, and then Christmas Special 2005, which shows us an alternate future where Ed didn't exist. Then there's Snowbuddy, Tord's Adventure. I would say this is important as it shows us Tord and how he acts, like his personality and how he likes weapons and that. After that is Tom's Tales of Awesome, Ed's Tales, Faster Than a Bullet, Breakfast, Zombie Nation, Christmas Visitor, and this shows us the only character with 5 fingers, Hello Hellhole, This World of Ed, Ruined, Halloween Special 2007, and now we reach Santa Claus. Here we meet the previous iteration of Santa, who is now old, rotten, and decaying, and is referred to as Santa. He chases the boys and is stopped by Santa, who then rewards the boys for doing nothing. This is when Matt gets his purple hoodie. Also, Matt stepped on a bug and it's been on his shoe ever since. Tom's Tales of Brilliance gets made, and then we have Spares. Now, after all of what I've mentioned, you're all probably asking, where is Zombie Attack? Well, I believe it takes place after Spares, and I say this because of many reasons, which I'll get into. Within the first episode of Zombie Attack, I believe we follow a clone of Ed, Matt, and Tom, with the exception of Tord. He's the only real one who decided to wear different clothes that day. Of course, Matt and Tord turn into zombies, and Ed and Tom try to drive away, but are attacked by Tord. Zombie Attack 2. We have the real Ed visit Tord's grave, who comes back to get Ed's help and goes in his car. But along with Tord Zombie, clone Matt also comes back, who goes to the real Tom, and Tord is able to be freed from the zombie curse, but Matt is not. Zombie Attack 3. Ed is awakened by Tord to try and stop clone Matt. He also goes to Tom, but Tom shoots him and leaves the skeleton corpse there. But Ed still comes to Tom to tell them that they need to stop Matt. They are able to stop him, but are also bitten. Or so they think. After the zombies are stopped, Ed and Tom are cured and return to their normal lives, where they find the real Matt, who was on vacation to like the Bahamas or something, and Tord. And things are supposedly back to normal. After the zombie attack, the boys go to war in moving targets, and then 25 feet under the seat, Tord leaves and the boys go look for the keys. After this, Matt is turned into a vampire. I have no logical way to explain how they all survived this episode, but trust me, they do. Santa Claus 2, Tord is mentioned by Santa and is told he left and Santa wants to take his place. Ed says no. And then Movie Maker's next, where we meet Laurel, who was Eduardo's girlfriend before she is killed in the same episode. I don't know if this one counts, but I'll add it anyways. Climate change is next. You don't really need to add it, as it doesn't really add much. After that, we have Xmas Day, and finally we get to What the Future. Here we get a lot of stuff dumped onto us. First of all, Tom talks about how they found a skeleton in his apartment, which is Tord, and because of this being found, they evicted him from his place, and that's the reason why I kept Zombie Attack as a non-movie, as it shows that the skeleton was a real skeleton. So, yeah. After this, Future Ed talks about how he is here because cola has been outlawed as a drug all over the globe, and decided to kill his past self to spare himself for such a grim future. The boys run away and go to the diner to recollect their thoughts, whilst they get some time to think. The Hey Ed guy dies, and before we get to Ed Lucky Can, I would like to talk about this line.
What made you think your future self would not know where his past self would be hiding?
This can be taken in two ways. One, Future Ed knew he himself would go to this diner because it's where he remembers going with his friends. Or two, no matter if Matt was the ruler of everything or not, he did not truly change the world, and cola would still be outlawed as a drug, and the future stayed the same. After Future Ed says that he then talked about how they both got their lucky can, and it's revealed he truly is the future version of Ed, the boys still escape, and Future Ed goes back in time, where he arrives in Zombie Attack 1, which is the second reason of why I kept it in. And then the Future Ed travels even further back, and in the meantime, we get to see the future versions of Tom and Matt, who got another time travel device from Red Leader. Who's Red Leader? It's probably Tord. However, at the time of this episode, it was most definitely a reference to Super Average. But anyways, back to the main boys and Future Ed. He shows us alternate versions of himself from different time periods. I refuse to explain all these. If you know your history, you know. I don't remember my history, though. And also Edga, meaning he survived. Not sure about the rest, though. They all run, and then Future Matt and Tom come in to stop Future Ed. And then they start losing, but Matt travels and becomes king of pretty much everything in existence. Alright, that was a lot for that episode. However, we're going to be calling for like two seconds. So yeah. After What the Future, we have Hammer and Field 1 and 2, Santa Claus 3. Not much to note within it other than Bendy being referenced through the box of spot and Santa wearing Tord's hoodie. After this is fan service, and then Space Face Part 1 and 2. Here we learn about that there's other aliens in the galaxy and there's other spaceships, and how the aliens that we meet here with whatever this guy's name, Invader Zim, he misses his planet, and that's pretty much it. There's no real reason to go more further into them. Also, the boys now have a spaceship, and also the neighbors. Then there's date night. The Snoker is next, and this is where we see Paul and Patrick along with a third figure, which I will from this point onwards be referring to as Clord. Some of these legacy episodes will have a lot going on in them, so they will take a bit lull. Within the Snoker, some toxic waste is released, which makes the monster snowman become alive, and after it's defeated, nearby residents are turned into zombies since it blew up and went everywhere, because they got hit by a tank. Next up is Tom Says Crazy, and then Hide and Seek. Within Hide and Seek, we see a little bit more of the spreading zombie virus. And then we get Fun Dead. Throughout this episode, we see Clord and his crew various times, and they are also trying to stop the zombies, and are described as armed vigilantes, and in the end, the zombie apocalypse ends quickly, and it's all good. Power Ed is next, and Ed and Eduardo get powers and go up against each other. We also know that Tom has some monster form? I don't know, but he has that now. Mirror, mirror, not much to know other than we get the gender-bent versions of the main characters, and there being a photo of Matilda and Tori on the wall. Trick or Threat, we see a picture of Matt and Tord on the wall for like 3 frames, and we also get to see Kate Dexter torment the boys. I don't remember much or know much about Crash Zoom, but I do know the worlds are in some way connected, or at least were. Christmas Adventure, nothing to note, but then we get to the end, part 1 and 2. Clord returns and shows us that he makes stuff now. Tord starts to rage bait Tom. Tom gets angry and leaves. After this, Clord goes back to his old room for something, and we learn that he made Tom a monster? Anyways, they all leave after Clord punches Matt. Tom is homeless, and then buys a place, and sees Clord is wanted. They all go back to the house, and Clord has a giant robot. Fire. Clord blows up the house and the neighbor's house, and then he gets blown up. This is also the same year where John dies. The Legacy episodes very much showed us more story than the Golden Era of episodes, but now we're going into Beyond, which also has story sprinkled throughout it, but not much, as of it's currently not many episodes going on through Beyond. Fan Service 2. The first one we get back, and it's in the Eddsworld building. The next is Casting Call, which gives us new voices and familiar voices. Beaster Bunny. The only thing of note here is the fact that we are shown there are more eggs and another Beaster Bunny. Random, Slippery Slope, and then Zombie Piglet, which is definitely an Eddsworld movie, or it takes place in an alternate timeline. I would like to note as well the Chronicles of Santa, where Santa is actually speaking to us and reading the book to us, takes place before Surf and Turf. Surf and Turf Wars 1 and 2, Matt becomes a giant monster lobster, and then becomes normal again. And we are shown that the thing that made him like that has infected other things such as the fish in the ocean, and also a lobster had a piece, I think it was a badge, and it carried some of the liquid that infected Matt and made him a big lobster. New Year, New You, we see all the previous versions of the boys, and also someone in the box, which is probably Clord or some other character, maybe one of Clord's lackeys, I don't know. Matt gets the mail, then Pinheads, we see another character stalking the boys. Once again, we don't know, either Clord or a Clord lackey. Tom changes the light bulb, Ed takes out the trash, we get to see Mark and Eduardo outside. This either takes place at a point before the end, and also John isn't there, he's probably inside, due to the fact that the house is the original house and not the new house that the boys live in. And finally, we have Tales of Terror. Not much to say on this one other than it's definitely a movie to showcase fears one might have. The fear of being replaced, the fear of the future, and the fear of having no control over your life, and instead just being a puppet to someone else. Now, technically, this, what I'm about to mention, isn't Eddsworld. But something I also wanted to talk about is Bendy Stick, as it is shown that Bendy is Ed after being thrown into radioactive waste. I do not remember where I got this info from, but I think it was animated in one of the Bendy Stick animations. I don't remember it fully. I'm probably going to draw up a mock-up of what I mean and how Bendy was made. But I swear I remember seeing it somewhere. And that's it. If I didn't cover something, it's either because I forgot or I didn't see a need to cover it. But it's mostly because I forgot. As even though I did write this whole script, I am doing this off the top of my head without viewing a list of the videos or rewatching any. But hey, it's whatever. I just hope this was entertaining to watch, as I don't think this could be a valid timeline due to all my headcanon at all. But anyways, that's it. And I hope y'all enjoyed this timeline that I made.